This is Texas News Now, sponsored by Germania Insurance.
I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. Tanner Horner is on trial for murdering Athena Strand. Senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez was in the courtroom as medical experts weighed in.
After the jury last week heard that heartbreaking video of 7-year-old Athena Strand being killed, the defense now faces an uphill battle and a long road ahead. Today, without the jury here, the judge did hear from defense experts about what they plan to testify on behalf of Tanner Horner. The judge is ruling on what the witnesses can say when they are in front of the jury. One doctor testified Horner had lead levels 24 times higher than his peers, saying that kind of exposure, especially in childhood, can have serious impacts on brain development and behavior. Prosecutors challenged that, questioning how those results were gathered and whether the testing is reliable. The defense also plans to present testimony that Horner suffers from fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, along with autism and other mental health issues that experts say affect how his brain functions. Another psychologist described him as socially immature, struggling to understand consequences and express emotion, but made it clear he knows right from wrong and that there is no excuse for what he did. The jury is back here on Wednesday. In Fort Worth, I'm Rebecca Lopez. Back to you.
We're learning new details about the death of a Taco Casa employee after detectives discovered the man's body 4 days after being reported missing. We've been reporting from several scenes in Tarrant County, and Brittany Costello got a look at court documents providing new details.
At 31, Thomas King was the oldest of 4.
He was the most sweetest person.
But sister Mary Jo Madrano says fatherhood was his favorite stage of life. She says King had 2 boys with his high school sweetheart.
They've been asking for their father. I just don't think they understand the concept yet. We told them that he's in heaven.
Something she's still trying to process too. Madrano says she got a call last week that her brother was missing, that he never came home from his shift at a Fort Worth Taco Casa.
We automatically knew that's not Thomas.
He was discovered dead just 4 days later. Sibling April King.
We want to know why they did this to him.
They are slowly getting answers that lead them back to the Taco Casa their brother worked at. Police arrested his co-worker, 34-year-old Gregory Lewis, after they tracked King's car to Lewis's Arlington motel room.
According to documents, Lewis told police he got a ride with King after work on Monday. They drove here to this business complex in East Fort Worth. We don't know why, but detectives say they found King's body in the wooded area right behind me.
Police say Lewis confessed, but Madrano believes there's more to the story. She says her brother kept to himself. He had a speech and hearing impairment. She says he may have been bullied for it.
They felt like he was an easy target.
Taco Casa's corporate office says it's unaware of any prior incidents involving the victim and suspect, but that they are cooperating with law enforcement.
He was just making an honest dollar and for this to happen to an innocent person who was supposed to go home to see his kids.
She says they want justice for King's 2 children who will now grow up without their father.
It just shows that the world is evil.
In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
Generations of family history are now hanging in the balance. As Scoop Jefferson reports, a man says the city of Fort Worth made a mistake when it cut down historic trees on his ancestral land.
It's plum trees, full of plums.
On a stretch of land along Mosier Valley Road in Fort Worth.
We got natural fruit, berries, blackberries, raspberries, plums.
Property owner Jeffrey Pointer proudly talks about what grows here, a harvest in his family for generations. But just weeks ago, concerns started growing about something else happening on his family property.
They called me and say, you know, they over there cutting down them trees.
7 historic trees cut down as part of a city park project. Now just tree stumps on land Pointer says passed down from his great-grandmother, Beatrice Parker Green.
You know, I called the contractor and I said, just stop. Don't do anything else because you're on the wrong property. And they stopped.
They stopped, Pointer says, because his family land sits between 2 lots annexed by Fort Worth from the city of Euless. Mosier Valley Park unfinished, surrounded by the contractor's construction materials. The city's communications team gave me this response from their attorney saying the work has paused at the request of some of the Mosier Valley stakeholders to ensure the boundaries of the park are accurate.
It's nothing against the city, it's just they didn't do their due diligence on where they were.
And for Pointer, it's about history, sharing photos from his great-grandmother's family-built schoolhouse, roots tied to segregation.
And she couldn't go to school in Euless. They wouldn't let us, so they built our own school.
Now, on the same land, house movers rolling slowly down Mosier Valley Road, carrying a building, their new family office, and for Pointer, an emotional moment.
When I sat down, it's like my ancestors said, we can rest.
Pointer already encouraging the next generation about land ownership.
You know, it's for us to know that it was ours and protect it.
In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
The Arlington City Council is set to vote on securing the Dallas Cowboys for decades to come. But as Jason Whiteley reports, it's sparking a heated debate over whether taxpayers should have the final say.
I'm Jason Whiteley. This week could be a turning point in Arlington. City Council votes on Tuesday on a deal to keep the Dallas Cowboys there through 2055. Listen, there's no debate about the team's impact on the city. The real question, though, should taxpayers spend another $250 million on AT&T Stadium without having a vote? The price tag here, $273 million in tax money, funded by a half-cent sales tax, the same tax that voters did approve 20 years ago to build the stadium. But when the stadium was paid off, that tax didn't disappear. It shifted over to Globe Life Field. And when that's paid off eventually, Councilman Bowie Hogg from Arlington said the idea right now to shift that money right back to AT&T Stadium.
But that tax, that half-cent tax, was supposed to burn off at some point, right? I mean, it seems like it's never going to end if this happens.
Yeah, we've paid off the Cowboys stadiums, and now we are paying off Globe Life for the Rangers. And so this tax coming back, we do have to be cautious over that because it is taxpayers' money, whether they live in Arlington or it's also, as people said, other people's money from other people visiting Arlington. But it doesn't matter where you live; it's still taxpayers' dollars.
That taxpayer money would fund security upgrades and improvements around the stadium, like sidewalks, roads, and infrastructure. But the timeline here is moving fast. Announced just last week, final vote on Tuesday. We go deeper on this on Inside Texas Politics. If you missed the program, you can see the entire interview with Councilman Bowie Hogg. It's on our streaming app, WFAA Plus, free to download. They're on your smart TV.
All right, thanks, Jason. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin, and the state of Texas is getting a big boost in its efforts to research psychedelic drugs. Over the weekend, an executive order was signed by President Donald Trump that researchers hope will mean more money and less red tape for studying treatments for serious mental health illnesses. As KVU's Adam Bennett tells us, this could make a big difference for veterans.
In those 3 days, it did more for me than the 17 years prior.
Whether it's ayahuasca in Peru or ibogaine in Mexico.
It's like 5 years of therapy in one sitting.
These and other military veterans have spoken with KVUE during the last year about how psychedelics help treat their PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and opioid addiction.
It's now law.
Last June, Governor Greg Abbott signed a law to invest $50 million into ibogaine research. In March, state leaders announced Texas will use that money to partner with statewide researchers on its own program. And on Saturday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order aiming to cut the red tape toward federal review of psychedelic treatments.
I think in some ways this is a pretty surprising executive order to come from the Trump administration.
Dr. Catherine Neal Harris is a drug policy fellow at Rice University in Houston. She credits veterans with helping change minds. Still, Dr. Harris says the order does not guarantee FDA approval.
The research has to still demonstrate both efficacy, effectiveness, and a tolerable safety level.
Those are questions the team at UT Austin's Center for Psychedelic Research and Therapy try to answer.
We are definitely in wait-and-see mode.
Dr. Greg Fonzo is co-director.
Initially, I think it's a very exciting development, and we'll see how it plays out in the coming weeks to months.
As those who say they've already benefited,
I didn't have the anger that I carried before that I couldn't ever get rid of.
Wait to see that solution in the states. Adam Bennett, KVUE News.
Investigators continue to look into a deadly crash on State Highway 130 in Del Valle. The collision happened in the southbound lanes near FM 812 on Monday. At least one person was killed. Police are not releasing the victim's name just yet. Early voting in the May 2nd election starts today, and depending on where you live, voters are deciding city and school district races. Voters in 5 Central Texas cities will pick their mayor, including in Round Rock. That race, it's not without controversy. KVUE's Daniel Perot explains the twists and turns of this race.
With early voting underway, it's full steam ahead for the men running to be Round Rock's mayor. Craig Morgan has served as mayor since 2017.
It's always a little stressful anytime that you have an election that you go through.
But this isn't a typical race. The man challenging Morgan, Kelly Hall, will be on the ballot, but city staff deemed him ineligible, saying he doesn't meet the requirement to have lived in the city for at least a year before running for office.
I've paid bills in Round Rock. I paid taxes in Round Rock.
Hall says he's lived in Round Rock since January of last year. He's contesting the decision and filed a petition in Williamson County Court to prove his residency.
I've given the city clerk my lease agreement, given her all my bills, everything, showing that I've lived on Main Street for over a year.
Back in March, he won the Democratic nomination for Texas House District 19, which is nowhere near Round Rock. Hall's paperwork from that race says his permanent residence is in Cedar Park, where he says he used to live.
The Democratic Party's the one that told me I had to go with the address that was on file for my voter's registration card, which was a Cedar Park address.
Hall says he thought he withdrew from that race, so the win came as a surprise. Mayor Morgan says he was not involved in the decision about Hall's eligibility, adding he thought about challenging Hall's residency, but did not because he didn't want to take legal action against the city.
To me, it's just noise, and I've got to kind of ignore the noise and run my campaign.
Even though he's been deemed ineligible, Hall's name will still appear on the ballot. The city says if he wins, there will be a special election to fill the office.
I think the applications speak loud and clear, but I'm going to run my campaign, and the people around Rock's going to decide who they want as their next mayor.
That was Daniel Perot reporting. The Texas Democratic Party says its district precinct chairs are in the process of choosing a new candidate to be the Democratic nominee in House District 19 this fall, and that's expected to happen in the coming weeks. An update from the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in South Austin. Athena's second owlet is alive and in rehabilitation. Athena abandoned her nest when it was believed both of her owlets had died. Staff at the Wildflower Center now tell us after a few hours, the owlet started moving. So the center and Austin Wildlife rescued the baby and removed it from the nest. An Austin-based food company is taking flight with Southwest Airlines. Siete's Mexican wedding cookies are now the airline's first co-branded snack. The snacks roll out on select flights starting this week. The full launch hits June 18th. Siete was founded in Austin in 2014 by the Garza family, who began making grain-free tortillas in their kitchen. The company is named for the 7 members of their family. On Sunday, a retired Austin firefighter who made Texas history celebrated his 100th birthday. KVUE's Jose Alonso tells us more about Marvin Douglas's legacy and impact on the Austin community.
At Houston-Tillotson University, a man representing Black history in Texas celebrated a milestone.
Well, there's a lot of people not 100 years of age around.
But retired Austin firefighter and the first Black fire inspector in Texas, Marvin Douglas, is around and well for his 100th birthday celebration.
Oh, it feels great because I've traveled the whole state and, and out of the state. And no, it feels great.
Douglas became the 4th Black firefighter to join the Austin Fire Department. That's why current Fire Chief Joel Baker was honored to have Douglas pin the official badge on him at a swearing-in ceremony in 2018.
Not only one of the first African-American hired here in Austin, but as the Fire Chief, he really set the foundation, paved the way, not just for people like me in Austin, but really all across the country.
During retirement, Douglas gives back to his community through a benefit golf tournament in his name and his mentorship of the next generation.
Doug and I began to become true friends. He belonged to several organizations and he wanted me to be a part of those organizations, and I joined. Most of them I served more than 25 years. I realized that I was in the presence of history-making men. They were Willie Ray Davis, who went on to become a captain, Nathaniel Kendrick, who went on to become a driver of fire specialist, and Roy Green, who also went on to become a fire specialist driver.
That means a lot. It means a lot, because a lot of people didn't know all of this.
This history maker is surrounded by a community that loves and respects him. Not too bad for a century man. In Austin, Jose Alonso, KVUE News.
What a great story. And staff at Austin Animal Services are celebrating after 130 dogs and puppies were adopted, fostered, or moved to partner rescues over the weekend. Last week, shelter leaders asked for help to clear 70 crates that had been lining the shelter's hallways. Shelter staff say there are still more dogs who need homes, and they're encouraging people to keep adopting, fostering, or volunteering. And that's all from us here in Austin. Hope you have a great day.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
Happy Tuesday. Certainly music to our ears with some showers and even some thunderstorms continuing across much of Texas. Some much needed rain, especially with some of the ongoing drought conditions. And we'll continue to at least see some opportunities today, even working a little bit and throughout the remainder of the week. And as a response to that, there'll be a lot more in the way of even some cooler temperatures. So West Texas, we had a lot of our rain yesterday. For Monday, we're going to be a bit more on the drier side with a few isolated storms today. Hence, we'll be back into some 70s and 80s further off and towards the east. I-35 corridor will have some more cooler temperatures and also some rain chances as we go on throughout much of our Tuesday. So cool and cloudy conditions, another round of showers and storms pushing westbound, more in the way of some warmer temperatures, especially across much of the Lone Star State as we head in towards tomorrow. We'll get back well into the 70s, even some 80s, closer to even 90 with some breezy conditions, especially developing along and towards Amarillo. I think we will hit 90 heading into around Wednesday, and at least into the longer term, it looks like above normal temperatures will at least stick with us as we head in towards the next couple of days, working in towards your weekend. So Tuesday morning, 50s and 60s out the door, rather humid start and very mild in fact. Cooler temperatures, especially I-35, 65 in DFW, 66 in Killeen and Austin, 72 in Houston, 78 in Corpus Christi. Will be more in the way of middle to near upper 70s and 80s to further west that you go for parts of West Texas. Warmer and drier conditions, but heading into around Tuesday morning, an opportunity of some morning fog, but nearly scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms as we head along and towards the I-35 corridor, pointing south and east along and towards Houston. Victoria could be working with some brief heavy downpours. No severe weather it's going to be anticipated, but we could have some gusty winds embedded in some of these showers and thunderstorms, creating some very isolated flooding, especially in those poor drainage areas. Something to keep in mind, but it's not going to be a widespread or severe flooding as we head in towards around Tuesday. But numerous showers and thunderstorms across much of the hill country in central Texas. If you're traveling from Dallas to Austin, you'll definitely work with some rainier conditions for that commute. We'll begin to thin out a little bit though as we head in towards your late afternoon and towards the early evening with another round of those few isolated storms over into West Texas. But the highest coverage will be along East Texas and Central Texas. It'll fizzle out by the evening hours, the late evening hours, with another round of fog possible heading into around Wednesday, especially across much of the central Texas, down and towards west central Texas. But we'll see a dry line form off into portions of west Texas. Breezy conditions towards the west, the moisture, all of it often towards the east. Coverage of rains remains low, but down in towards south Texas, we could keep a couple isolated showers and thunderstorms, but maybe even a strong storm could try to develop over into parts of west Texas heading into around Wednesday. Kind of a rinse and repeat as we head into Thursday, but maybe a bit more isolated to widely scattered showers. But I think the majority of us really want to stay a bit more onto the drier side. I think its coverage is going to remain fairly low, especially for west Texas. Work with more breezy conditions, especially heading into around Friday as well, with a bit more of an uptick of rain chances. We'll see a frontal boundary that will try to approach much of the region, but I think it's not really going to make that full passage, at least as we head in towards the weekend. But it could help bring a renewed opportunity of some showers and storms over into north and east Texas. And at least between Tuesday to Friday, much of central Texas down into south Texas, along into near even the coastal bend, a good ½ inch to maybe inch and a half. Isolated totals could even be up to near 2 to maybe 3 inches of rain for the next several days. So some beneficial rainfall definitely will help and aid into the drought. A bit more less, especially further off and towards the west, maybe upwards of 1/10 of an inch. So working throughout the next 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, breezy conditions, especially for west Texas. Temperatures will warm back up well into the 80s and 90s. Central Texas will still work with more in the way of some middle to near upper 60s, warming up back into some 70s and 80s as we head in towards around our Wednesday and Thursday. Still work with a mix of sun and clouds down in towards south Texas. It'll be the same song and tune, a couple showers today, pushing in towards around Wednesday and Thursday. We'll keep the opportunity of some clouds across the region, especially working to north Texas. Still stick with some 60s, 70s, and 80s throughout the next couple days. Even working into around east Texas will generally stick around into the 60s, 70s, maybe reach 80 heading into Thursday. Down into the valley will definitely be working more in the way of those warmer temperatures, well into the low to possibly even middle 90s. So at least when it comes to this rainy pattern, it will continue, at least working through the next 6 to 10 days to end off April, leading into around early May, even with the opportunity of some slightly below normal temperatures as we head in towards the end of the month. So working throughout the next 7 days, 60s and 70s today, warmer off and towards west Texas. Warmer temperatures return area wide, even with breezy winds at times, especially further off and towards the west, reaching it to around 80s heading into Houston. Working in towards the weekend, we'll see more warmer temperatures continue across Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at germaniainsurance.com.
Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. A rush to save a life. We're hearing from an Ironman volunteer who says he desperately tried to rescue an athlete from drowning over the weekend. Sadly, 38-year-old Mara Araújo, a popular athlete from Brazil, died Saturday during the swim portion of the competition. Megan Reyna learning more about the athlete and what led up to this tragedy.
The man I spoke with had competed in the Ironman himself in the past and says he decided to volunteer along with hundreds others on Lake Woodland Saturday to try and keep the athletes safe. He told me tonight he tried everything to save Mara Araújo's life.
I responded that I was sorry. It's been a tough couple days.
Sean McDonald is still trying to come to terms with what happened.
We're on the paddleboard.
He says he was on a paddleboard with his daughter volunteering during the swimming portion of the Ironman when he noticed someone else on a kayak calling out for help.
He kept blowing the whistle and I was like, what's going on?
He realized someone had gone underwater. He rushed over and at one point says he felt her body.
And I took a super big breath and I went right back down and right where I felt her. And she was gone.
Right.
That was hard.
For several minutes, he says he kept trying to dive down to find her, but eventually the rescue mission turned into a recovery, with the dive team locating her body a few hours later.
In my mind, I thought that would always be alive. Like, even after an hour, I was like, she needs to come up.
The medical examiner identifying her as 38-year-old Mara Araujo from Brazil, a fitness influencer with tens of thousands of fans on social media. Her boyfriend told me she had competed in the Ironman before and was ready for this competition. He says he's heartbroken and wants her remembered as a kind and fantastic athlete.
When God thinks it's your time, it's your time.
Something goes.
And, you know, she was doing something she clearly loved.
We also reached out to the Ironman organization to see if they're further investigating this incident. We have not heard back. Meanwhile, we're told the family is working to get her body back to Brazil, where she'll be laid to rest. Reporting from the Woodlands, Megan Reyna, KHOU 11 News.
A man accused of killing his pregnant girlfriend and unborn child in Houston was arrested in the New Orleans area on Monday after a days-long manhunt. The parents of the alleged victim, Ashante Allen, is talking about what comes next as we learn details about the crime. Here's Jason Miles.
23-year-old Ashante Allen's family wants the death penalty, and that will be on the table if her accused killer is convicted. Take a look at 24-year-old Kevin Fox's new booking photo. He was arrested by U.S. Marshals in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, just this side of New Orleans. According to newly obtained court records, Fox allegedly strangled Allen with a cord, which was found tied in a knot around her neck when her body was found in a bayou last Thursday. Fox is even accused of FaceTiming another woman after the alleged murder, showing her Allen's body lying on the ground. That allegedly occurred nearly a week before Allen's remains were discovered. Today, Allen's mother reacting to the arrest.
He was there at her OB appointments, even when she had to go into the hospital. He was there, and he was acting like he was such a caring person. But you know what? He really deserves an Academy Award for his acting, because he had all of us fooled.
Allen's family is planning a vigil for this Thursday at Chimney Rock Park, where her body was found. Her funeral is set for next Sunday. Right now, Fox is being held without bond in the Jefferson Parish Jail, awaiting extradition back here to Texas. In the Missouri City area where we met the Allen family, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
The last thing heading downtown anyone in Houston needs is fewer parking spaces, but that's about what's to happen before World Cup fan festivities even begin. Nearly 1,500 spaces will be gone after the Avenida South garage is demolished in just a couple of weeks. Katira Winfrey hit the streets to see what alternatives will exist for drivers.
Evidence of what's to come is already in place. The Sky Bridge will be coming down in 2 weeks, and then the South Garage, all making room for Houston's future, but it has current impacts. Downtown Houston is home base for fans seeking thrills, from the sports venues to the convention center. There's always something happening.
Parking's always a concern. When you get like the Astros, the Rockets, the Dynamo, some conventions all at the same time, it's always a concern.
Parking options just shrank. The Avenida South garage is coming down May 4th, eliminating 1,459 parking spots. How often do you use this parking garage?
Every day.
It's being done to make way for the George R. Brown Convention Center expansion. The project will impact traffic. Avenida de las Americas between McKinney and Lamar will be closed to all vehicle traffic, and Polk from Chartres to Avenida de las Americas is closed to bike traffic.
I was a little worried, but they said we got parking down the street, so I'm not worried at all.
FIFA Fan Fest near Shell Energy Stadium begins in June. Add to that Astros games, major conferences at the GRB, and a few big-name concerts at Toyota Center. And it spells big problems for visitors vying for the available parking.
It's a little inconvenience, but it's just, you know, you got to expand, you got to build. This is part of life.
Houston First encourages visitors to plan ahead, reserve spaces using apps like ParkWiz, Spot Hero, and Parking.com. Aaron DeFore says Houstonians will figure it out, but out-of-towners might have a problem. Do you think it's going to be a challenge for outsiders?
Yeah, we get people from all over the world.
And I've reached out to FIFA to ask how the garage closure will impact Fan Fest activities, and I'm still waiting to hear back. Reporting in downtown Houston, Katira Winfrey, KHOU 11 News.
Over the weekend, many Houstonians made their voices heard asking to stop the closure of the popular Memorial City Mall ice rink. 6,000 people signed a petition to keep the rink open, hoping the property owners will be listening. Troy Kless has more from the mall.
Parents and kids say they're not just spending time on ice at the rink. They say that a community that's been built up for years is in danger of breaking up.
I just felt that I was meant to do ice skating when I stepped on the ice.
Today, several kids like Amelia Durham are trading skates for shoes. Durham is an ice skater who shares the rink with many kids, including the Houston Storm hockey team.
Memorial City is like our home. We practice there multiple times a week, and this is our place that we have found.
Now they're trying to find a solution to the closure of the Memorial City ice rink. We asked rink owners Metro National if they've spoken with groups asking to keep the ice open. Instead, they sent a statement which says once the relocation and construction of the mall's main entrance is complete, we will be unable to maintain the required ice conditions, saying this transition allows us to thoughtfully reinvest in the long-term growth of our community. But coaches like Will Rassman aren't convinced.
We see a lot of these large companies that have big mission statements about being altruistic and caring about their communities and caring about the health and well-being of the people that they serve. If that is the case, then put your money where your mouth is.
Those feelings are why many people are teaming up.
Figure skating, hockey, it's like amazing. It's amazing sports, and we come together and we're all a big family, and closing it down is just very sad.
These kids hope the adults in charge will reconsider.
They should think again about their decision and what they're thinking about closing the ice rink.
Metro National says that any usable equipment from the ice rink will be donated to other rinks and community groups. In Memorial City, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
Young people speaking up. That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A Central Texas group of voters and residents are starting the process to recall members of City Council and the mayor. The group says it's clear the people elected to represent them aren't listening after voting to move forward with another data center. Or Juliana Jackson has more on how the community is responding and what comes next.
To the council.
Temple City Council voted to approve a new data center last week despite overwhelming opposition to the project at that meeting. This marks the third in the area just from Rowan Digital Infrastructure.
Minimum, put a pause on it, and we tried to do that at the City Hall Thursday night, and we were not heard.
Temple resident Carly Bird says she was there in that hours-long public meeting.
The room was full. There was it was packed outside of the courthouse. It seemed like the City Council was really hearing the citizens. They weren't paying attention. They were looking down. It felt like the respect wasn't mutual.
Residents raised concerns about data center infrastructure, environmental impact, and transparency.
To push these projects through, the lack of response or concern for citizens' thoughts, and the rising temperatures and vanishing lakes, and the discrepancy of wealth between Rowan and the people of this community.
Now that frustration from residents is turning into action to recall city leadership.
They did not vote against putting a pause on the data centers, that we would have to take action and do a recall.
Temple residents are organizing a city government recall with the goal to remove elected officials, starting with a petition drive to collect a required number of signatures from registered voters.
Bipartisan issues, so we have all kinds of people joining, old, young, Republican, Democrat.
Organizers say they expect this to be a long process, but are hoping for change.
Pause of the centers and just to get a baseline testing. And for the citizens to be heard.
The City of Temple says the city is still negotiating with Rowan to include specific mechanisms to protect the city and its resources, and public input is an important part of the process in decision making. Right now at a Central Texas theater, a display holds decades-old wedding dresses and the love stories they stitched together. Arsenio Walker shows us how the community came together to promote their current play, Dear Jack, Dear Louise, and bring history to life on and off the stage.
From a drama to dozens of dresses.
Only 2 people in the play, World War II love story.
Temple Civic Theater's Norman Northern said they had an idea to make their play, Dear Jack, Dear Louise, feel real.
I said, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we could find some World War II wedding dresses to do display.
The community's donated wartime wedding dresses, vintage photos, and real-life love stories help bring the story on stage to life.
We have 2 from World War II.
Love stories, over 80 years old.
1944 to 1960, a 16-year period.
Most with military connections.
As a survivor of Iwo Jima.
Intricate designs and beautiful lace.
During World War II, they shipped all of the lace to Switzerland and had it hidden from the Nazis.
And love amidst war.
Military doctor, and he was stationed in India. All of a sudden, he was coming home for Christmas of 1944, so they put the wedding together in 2 weeks.
Stories lasting generations.
And then here's her daughter wearing it as well with another military wedding.
Like Northern's mother's dress.
We still have the receipt, and it's like $33 worth of entire fabric, thread and all to put it together.
And director.
This is my mother.
Natasha Tollison.
She got married in 1956.
With a doll to match.
Dressed in a replica of her dress from the same fabric. It's happy. It's nostalgic.
More than just a script. Stories of real relationships and sacrifice.
It's just the Americana story and the story of love.
In Temple, Sydney Walker, 6 News.
And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. The Longview PRCA Rodeo brought another year of action, but it's not just about what's happening in the arena. CBS 19's Renee Estrada shows us how vendors are helping bring the rodeo experience to life.
From the roar of the crowd to the sights, sounds, and smells of the fairway, the Longview PRCA Rodeo is more than just about bull riding. It's an experience where families gather, traditions continue, and vendors take center stage.
And it's all centered around the Western lifestyle, faith, family, and freedom.
For first-time vendor Cindy McAdams, this rodeo is a new kind of adventure. Her business is serving up colorful, crunchy, freeze-dried candy, and it's a hit with rodeo goers of all ages.
I mean, I've been to the Longview Rodeo, just not as a vendor, and I love the rodeo. There's music and it's happy.
And while the sweets draw people in, she says it's the atmosphere that keeps them coming back.
I do, because it draws people in and it brings people together, and if we spend more time together, I mean, that's a win.
And just a few steps away, another crowd favorite is hard to miss. Tyson, a towering Texas Longhorn, is giving kids and even a few brave adults a chance to get up close to rodeo life.
It's exciting, action-packed, a lot of family fun. As you can see, it's a lot of stuff going on out here.
His owners are seasoned vendors at rodeos across Texas and say events like this go beyond entertainment.
It is something for the family to get out and enjoy.
And whether it's your first rodeo or your 15th, that sense of community is exactly what keeps this event going strong year after year. And with proceeds supporting local nonprofits, organizers say every ticket helps make a difference right here in Longview.
So rain or shine, we're going to have a rodeo.
So from sweet treats to Longhorn meats and a whole lot of Texas tradition, this rodeo is proving there's something for everyone. In Longview, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
Today marks the first day of early voting, but in Smith County, election officials say turnout is off to a slow start. Voters can cast ballots in a variety of local races, including school boards, city councils, and mayoral seats. Elections Administrator Michelle Alcon says about 700 people voted on day one. And while lower turnout is common in May, she says it's often because voters aren't familiar with the candidates or the issues on the ballot.
Because typically the first day of early voting is one of our biggest days. So we'll see if that number increases or not. This is not the primary runoff. That election doesn't start until May 18th. And so for people who are coming in to vote right now, if you see the signs out, that is for cities and schools. So the TJC bond, the City of Tyler mayoral race, the city council for Hideaway, those are the election, what's on the ballot for right now.
Election day is May 2nd, and officials encourage voters to check sample ballots and polling locations online before heading out. One East Texas woman celebrated a major milestone, blowing out 100 candles, and her secret to a long life might be easier than you may think. Love, laughter, and a whole lot of history filled the room at Avier at Petal Hill in Tyler, all for Emma Bridgman, celebrating a milestone you don't see every day. Through it all, she says it was her faith that carried her.
But I'm old,
And I'm glad to know it. Because God had something to do with it. Oh, yeah. I didn't do it by myself. Don't let the devil fool you.
Don't let the devil fool you.
That's right.
Don't let the devil
And I
fool
believe it go on and on.
So
Bridgman says his secret to a long life is anything but complicated, just soda water, plenty of sweet tea, and no shortcuts. She also adds that she walks every day to work, and her grandson says she's always worked and went to church. And that's a wrap up for East Texas Headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. 29-year-old Edward Trejo was shot dead in December following an argument at a house party. Zach Briggs has the family's push for justice.
Tomorrow night, loved ones and friends of Edward Trejo will be gathered here at El Camino to raise awareness to the public. They want the truth to be told, and they just want someone to be held accountable.
I have to fight for justice. He's my son, and he didn't deserve to die. Over noise? This is not okay.
Investigators say Paul Flores pulled the trigger, killing Edward Trejo just 4 days before Christmas. This was on the west side of Cincinnati Avenue in I-10. Police say Flores showed up at the house to complain about the noise. Flores and Trejo started arguing, but witnesses say Flores was the antagonizer. The Bexar County DA's office presented the case to a grand jury in March, which did not find probable cause to charge Flores. That left Edward's mother, Andrea Trejo, angry and confused.
They explained to me, well, kind of the laws of self-defense, and I said, well, how does this fall in the category? There's no way.
And now she's determined even more to keep her son's story alive during one of Trejo's favorite times of the year.
Fiesta was a big part of him. My son loved to dance and to sing. He was just full of life.
Through a petition, selling of Fiesta shirts, and being together with the community, this family's hopeful police and the DA's office don't turn a blind eye on the killing of Edward Trejo and others still searching for answers.
I hope to be able to start a foundation in my son's name. Us San Antonians stick together, and the truth has to be told.
And she's confident the petition will get this case back on the public's radar, especially the district attorney. The event takes place tomorrow from 5 to 8. I'm Zach Briggs, KENS 5.
The nationwide chain Painted Tree Boutiques abruptly shut down Tuesday, leaving local vendors scrambling to recover. But one entrepreneur is already starting over, finding a new home near the Pearl. KENS 5's Simone Simpson shows us how one setback is turning into a fresh start.
I have said since the day of closure, even in the chaos, I had the joy of the Lord because I'm not destroyed. I have Jesus, and He is our hope.
Leaning on faith when the future feels unclear.
It was abrupt. There was no warning. It was, as I know for other vendors, we're all scrambling to go get our things.
The Park North location was home to about 200 small businesses selling everything from household goods to clothes, jewelry, and food. Painted Tree's corporate team confirmed to KENS 5 that they filed for bankruptcy. Jackie's Christian apparel business was there exactly 1 year. After last week's abrupt closing of Painted Tree Boutiques, the owners of the Vine reached out on social media to see what local businesses were impacted. They heard back from more than 10 businesses, including Jackie's. Her prayer was answered.
Whenever you have somebody similar in the faith and they reach out and they tell you, hey, we have a safe place, come as you are, come do what you need to do, and you're not alone in this. And so we were so blessed when we received the Vine's message, and they were the first ones to reach out.
Husband and wife Will and Shannon Corbett created the Vine as a supportive space where small businesses can succeed, sheltered from the setbacks of weather. They've been located by the Pearl at 2202 Broadway Street for 6 months. They feel they're in the right place at the right time to help.
We always say the Vine is divine, and that's what's showing up right now.
You know, we're still new, but when God allowed us to open our doors, you know, we're established enough that we can open our arms to others that might need help right now.
The Vine, based off of scripture, redefines how local artisans connect with the community.
You know, we have this door, and we welcome you. We have this vine, and we literally want to extend our branch to you and have you grow.
I believe that through this closure of Painted Tree, there's been so many more opportunities for us because we were getting comfortable there, and now the Lord has pushed us out, and He's sending us places. We've had the amazing opportunity to meet Shannon and Will that own the Vine, and that never would have happened without the Painted Tree closing abruptly.
Simone Simpson, KENS 5.
Some shop owners at Market Square say the cost of doing business during Fiesta is climbing and cutting into their profits. KENS 5's Gilbert Gomez explains their concerns and what it could mean for small businesses.
For many, Fiesta de los Reyes is a celebration that brings thousands. But for some business owners at Market Square, it also comes with a steep price tag.
For the event of Fiesta, they charge an obscene amount of money.
Hugo Flores, owner of Texas Hats, says he pays about $350 a month to the city to rent a small patio space in front of his store. But during the 10 days of Fiesta, that space is controlled by the festival organizers, the Rey Feo Consejo Educational Foundation, and the cost to rent that space during the festival jumps to $5,000.
I own 4 stores here, so that's $20,000 that I have to pay in order for me to sell my products out here.
Flores says the price has risen sharply over the years.
Each year they go up. Last year was $4,000. The year before that was $3,000. We start paying $2,000, and I don't know. I just don't understand how or why.
And he says not paying the fee could come with consequences.
Otherwise, they will put a vendor in front of my door and block me, and that's even worse.
Flores says that's something that's already happened.
Last year, they blocked me completely. They leave me out of Fiesta.
He now worries about what this year could bring.
This year, with the charging to get in and economy the way it is and, you know, things like that, I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Flores says he and other shop owners have taken their concerns to festival organizers. He's now hoping for more transparency on how those fees are set. KENS 5 has tried contacting the Rey Feo Consejo Educational Foundation about the fee increase. We are waiting to hear back. Gilbert Gomez, KENS 5.
The Nyosa Rain Rock has taken its place at the Conservation Society of San Antonio's headquarters. The tradition dates back to the late 70s when the chairman of Nyosa was worried about ominous clouds impacting the festival. A volunteer decided to implement a Texas good luck tradition of hanging up a limestone rock to ward off bad weather. That year, the event had beautiful weather.
The Rain Rock ceremony has been pivotal to Nyosa, part of the history, right? 50 years of doing this Rain Rock. So it's a great opportunity, it's a great celebration, and it lets us know that Nyosa is truly just around the corner.
Opening ceremonies for Nyosa are set to begin Tuesday night at 5:15. The event runs through Friday. And that's the news in San Antonio.
Hi, I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. Our water crisis is now spilling into politics, shaping the race for Corpus Christi City Council. With new candidates already jumping in, Josh Maxwell shows us how it could drive voters to back leaders who can secure our water future.
As the topic of drought continues to dominate both state and local headlines, all eyes are on the Corpus Christi City Council and how they're handling our crippling water situation.
Incumbents are going to have a case that they're going to have to make as to why they should be kept in office with the situation being so dire.
Political analyst Dr. Bill Criss says that for those running for city council in the upcoming general election, industry experience is going to play a large role in who wins a seat.
Prior connections to city operations and can demonstrate some credibility with respect to solving problems is going to have a leg up.
With mounting pressure from Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Only give them a little time more before the state of Texas has to take over and micromanage that city.
And a recent drop in the city's credit rating from stable to negative. There is uncertainty over the city's ability to secure water resources in a timely manner. Chris says voters are in need of stability.
I think we're going to have a relatively high turnout this year because I think people are motivated to vote.
I believe that diesel can work here.
Former Corpus Christi Fire Chief Robert Rocha has officially announced that he is running for District 3. With 12 years running one of the city's largest departments, Rocha says his resume speaks for itself.
I was the fire chief during Hurricane Harvey, during the ice storm, during the water shortages before water boils. I was there, part of the executive team, making decisions. So I've got experience making decisions. I don't have any problem doing that.
Josh Maxwell, 3 News.
Certainly going to be a very interesting and busy election season. And a Corpus Christi family is celebrating quite the special edition. 4 identical baby girls. Doctors say cases like this are extremely rare. Our Natalia Osuna shares how the family is adjusting and what makes their story so unique.
She's perfect. For this family, a surprise pregnancy turned into a miracle with not 1, not 2, but 4 identical baby girls.
I was actually one and done with my toddler, but they just came and they're a miracle because they weren't supposed to be here at all.
Adriana Luna and Anthony Lerma already have a 2-year-old son. Adriana had an IUD, saying pregnancy was the last thing on their minds.
I was like, no freaking way.
He thought I was joking.
I thought I was joking.
Luna said she was concerned at times as pregnancies with multiple babies are often high risk and born prematurely.
Multiples does not run in my family, so this was something new. And at the same time, I was excited, but also worried.
Luna was just starting the nursing program at Del Mar College when they got the news. Although now she's prioritizing caring for her 5 kids, she says she will return to the program down the road.
That is my career. That is my aspiration. I am going to be a nurse. Nothing's going to stop me.
After delivering their daughters at 29 weeks, Luna and Lerma say they haven't done it all alone. Dr. Miguel de Leon leads the NICU at Corpus Christi Medical Center.
1 in 11 million that the odds of having this particular scenario of identical twins, and so it's very rewarding.
He's been a key part in the baby's journey.
On standby from the very beginning because we don't know when they're going to be born, and I think being quads is always a challenge to be predicting because the care is totally different.
Meanwhile, these parents of 5 are now asking for the community's help.
We do want to provide the best for our babies, and also it is hard for us right now as well because I can't work, I can't do a lot as I wanted to.
Anything helps, really.
And our continued well wishes and congratulations to that family. That's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. Crews, they responded to a house fire in Vidor early Monday morning. The home was found heavily engulfed in flames. A woman was able to escape and make it to a neighbor's house. A witness told 12 News that she was later taken to the hospital. Her husband, however, had not been accounted for as of Monday morning. There were also several dogs inside the home that, according to neighbors, likely did not make it out. The home has major damage and is considered a total loss. A crash in Orange, it knocked out power to more than 300 customers Monday morning. It's directly affecting people in the Pine Grove area. Our 12 News crew was at the scene on West Park where the driver of a Dodge truck lost control and hit several electrical poles. 12 News saw EMS checking out the driver and their passenger at the scene. Again, it took out power to more than 300 customers in the middle of the night. We are still working to find out what caused the driver to crash. And Orange police, they are giving us more information after a body was found on the side of the road Sunday morning. A press release says the body found of a 46-year-old woman. It was on the west side of Highway 87. Police, they don't suspect foul play. A cause of death is still being investigated. We're not going to know the woman's name until her next of kin is notified. And traffic alert in Orange County. Drivers, they should expect nightly alternating lane closures on I-10 East and West for Martin Luther King Jr. Drive to Sabine River Bridge. It's going to be overnight through Friday. And in Jasper County, drivers, they should expect nightly alternating lane closures on FM 2799 East and West. That's going to be from FM 777 to Highway 96. These will be overnight through Friday. Texas work zones saw more than 28,000 crashes last year, killing more than 200 people, most of them drivers and passengers. And now TxDOT has a new push to get drivers to slow down and stay alert. It's all for National Work Zone Awareness Week and is urging drivers to slow down, stay focused, and give crews space. Despite warning signs, flashing lights, and safety gear, crashes, they're still happening at an alarming rate. In 2025 alone, more than 28,000 work zone crashes were reported, killing 203 people across the state. And while roadside workers face danger every day, most of those killed are actually drivers and their passengers. That's the reality for workers like Kyle Baldwin, who survived a close call years ago and now shares his story as part of TxDOT's campaign.
About 8 years ago, my team and I were involved in a near-miss crash in a work zone that could have potentially been deadly. We were working on Interstate 410 frontage road when a car came barreling through our work zone at a high rate of speed. The car came within 50 feet of hitting me and could have easily hit one of my crew members. Unfortunately, these kind of near-miss crashes are nothing new to those of us who work in work zones across Texas.
Officials also remind drivers that fines double in work zones, and state law requires you to move over or slow down for vehicles with flashing lights. TxDOT says during this Work Zone Awareness Week, their message is simple: slow down, stay alert, and give workers room, because those few seconds can save lives. Beaumont Police held a day of fun for community at Alice Keith Park Saturday. Families, they enjoyed games, entertainment, free food, and community resources. The event was in partnership with the South Park Neighborhood Association. Beaumont celebrated tradition and achievement as well as the Nature's River Festival crowned its 78th Royal Court Saturday. It all happened at the Julie Rogers Theater downtown. Mitchell Toops, he was honored as King Nature's the 78th, and he was joined by a distinguished court of students. Bria Olivia Latham of Westbrook High School, she was named Queen alongside three ladies in waiting representing schools across the area. More than 200 students participated in this year's festival, competing for scholarships and recognition through interviews, essays, and community involvement. And those are the headlines from Southeast Texas.
For insurance you can trust, help is just a handshake away. Find your local agent at yourmediainsurance.com.